Let's try this again. Where's Nev Gallus?
You think you can come into my bar and make demands?
Nev Gallus is my only shot at finding the Dreadwolf. I'm not leaving until I know where she is. Be ready to talk by the time I get to you.
Darling, you're adorable. Not enough gold in the world for this.
Eric, now!
Meet Bianca. She'd like you to stay a while.
Nev Gallus. Dumat Plaza. The Venatori cultists took her to Dumat Plaza. Thanks.
Your friend Nev Gallus is at Dumat Plaza.
I heard. That's why you're my second in command. Although, for the record, there was probably an easier way to do that than fighting an entire bar.
What did I have to worry about? You were there watching my back.
Yeah.
Come on, Harding will be worried.
All right. Break's over.
I hope Nev's as good at finding people as you claim.
She's the best damn detective I've ever met. If she says she's got a lead on Solus, I believe her.
Hi guys, it's Hignum. I hope you guys like my Rook Showcase. It was a serious undertaking which I will never do again. So really, overall, I've tested the character creator about as much as I'd ever want to test it, and I will never do it again. So here are the sliders. If for those of you who want the sliders. Overall, I was pretty happy with most of the faces that I got. So there were a few faces I was not happy with, but yeah. I think Lee Pace's face was easier because I had spent a lot of time on Arwen, and that helped me shape his face easier in general. It's just much harder to make women better looking in general. Even when drawing, women are much harder to draw, at least for me. I find men easier to draw and easier to make look good. I mean, generally, you don't need some of these sliders like the larynx and all that because it's really all down to personal preference. This is Arwen. I spent the most time working on her, so yeah. She took me 3 hours. She was the first face I did in the character creator. The first attempt was so botched that I had to spend another 3 hours on it in order to get it to look really close to Liv Tyler. I definitely enjoyed making her face because look at how sweet she is. It's like angry puppy dog. I think for the eye color, it's better you just, figure that out by yourself or just use the preset ones. I didn't even bother changing the eyelashes. It's just not really that important to me. If it is important to you, please change them. Do it however you like. Do it however you want. Liv Tyler has the sweetest face ever and the hardest ass face to make. Man, it was such a pain the first time. If it helps you, I didn't bother putting any glitter. Yeah, about Frieren. Because she's an anime character, making her was gonna be hard in the first place. But her setting was in a European setting, so that doesn't actually help her case. Not a lot. Not a lot. Because anime overly simplify everything. She's actually supposed to have a more Western face, but she doesn't. So it was pretty hard to find a face that would work for her or that would actually bring out a Frieren vibe. So this is basically a result of me experimenting with a not so good set of references. You could probably do better if you spent more than a handful of hours on it. So Frieren is definitely not the worst face I've made. It's definitely not the worst face I've made. I think I screwed up the dwarves a lot more. Because the dwarves had totally different head morphs, and I wasted more time on the dwarves than I really want to talk about, to be honest. I hated it so much because it was just not fun. It was not fun at all because I couldn't really get that close. So yeah. Did I miss out the blush slider for Arwen? I don't know. Oh no. I mean, these are kind of small things. I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. This curse was because it was my husband's idea. I'm sorry, guys. But I tried. Because, why not? Because Ken. I actually didn't mind the challenge because it was actually kind of fun working on her face. She has a very unique face shape, actually. But really, I recommend you just custom this yourself. Because who knows, you might have different plans for her eye color. I don't know anyone that actually wants to play as Professor McGonagall in this game. I mean, you could if you made her human and not this monstrosity. I'm very sorry. Maggie Smith, may you rest in peace. My husband said it does look like Maggie Smith though. I mean, it's his opinion. It's fine. I mean, it was also his suggestion. That's pretty much it for Maggie. Yes, Agatha. I apologize if it doesn't look like Agatha. She was a challenge because her face is so square. On top of that, let's see, the reference was not good. The references that I managed to get were at least having half her face covered, so that was awesome to work with. I was being sarcastic, it really wasn't. So actually, she was one of the harder faces to do, and I spent almost 2 hours on it. It kind of sucked because I couldn't get quite the shape that I wanted, and I really wasn't greatly invested in it either. That's also that. I was really ready to finish this without, just settling the fact that I couldn't get the right hairstyle for her. But then I was like, oh, she had a bun up hairstyle. Okay, cool. That'll work. I guess it kind of turned out okay. At the beginning, I used to pull the sliders for all the wrong sliders for the nose. And it was super annoying to have to go back and readjust every single one of them. Yeah. If you can do it slowly, do it slowly. That's all I say. And I definitely don't recommend doing 12 characters. It will burn you out. Her face as a whole doesn't actually look that bad. In the character creator itself, it just didn't really look that good in the cutscene. It was just a personal thing. I highly recommend you just experiment with the makeup colors. I mean, if you're already copying a preset or if you're just gonna download the save files, then it's definitely just better to, just experiment a little bit with the colors. Now for the characters I'm most proud of, look at him, I'm so happy. The way this turned out was so good. I did not expect this to be so much fun, but it was so much fun working on his face. I absolutely loved working on his face. It was so much fun. It just was 5 minutes in, and then I was giggling like a schoolgirl, as if it was my first day with a character creator, but it wasn't. It was so much fun because his face is so angular, and it was just a shit ton of fun. Just playing with. If you have a character whose face is really angular, you will have a ton of fun. In this character creator because of, the character creator just starts you off with really angular presets. And so it's just a lot more fun if you're making angular faces, and you can just make really, nice faces like this that are super, super cool. And these faces will kind of have so much character, especially when you play the game. So there's certain faces like Frieren, which is a piece of hell, and you should probably never do it. But then there are faces like James Moriarty from Veilguard Order, which we're looking at right now. His face was perfect. His face was, his character design works for this character creator super well, and it was super easy to get the exact look I wanted for it, which is great, by the way. And if you're wondering whether Asian faces can work, it can. It's just, it takes time. It's amazing how they're using the same complexion settings, but with such a change in the features and everything else, they're totally different characters. Munenori's face was also so much fun to do because it was so angular, and I really wanted to make it work, so I was very happy with how this turned out. It's so good. So good. And it looked great in the cutscene too. I didn't actually customize his eye. This is actually whatever original preset color came with this, because I know he's dark brown eyes, but I didn't actually change. I'm sorry. I had a problem picking his eyebrows because I wasn't sure whether it would look good, but I think it's okay. It's close enough. I'm pretty happy. It doesn't look like a generic Asian face either, so yeah. I think if I had to go back and change one thing, I would probably change his nose, because the nose that I picked was, I mean, it looks okay from the front, but from the side, it's different. It's very, very different. I would probably go back and pick a different shaped nose so that it looks different from the side. Because this is actually the exact same nose I use for Moriarty as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, could have probably picked a different nose. So for the dwarves, I'm so sorry for people who love dwarves. I literally butchered Tyrion, like, badly. I tried my best. Honestly, it was a challenge. Like, a serious challenge. The dwarf head shapes were completely different. It was not what I expected. I spent so many hours on just handling the dwarves. I was not happy with the way they turned out, but I was also not willing to fight the character creator for longer than I already did. I normally don't play dwarves either, so it's kind of weird for me to be working with dwarf faces. I'm sorry. I normally play elves, so it kind of shows in a way. It's probably my bias, I don't know, or maybe because because I'm so used to elves, the way I see faces is very different. It can probably affect my judgment when it comes to these faces. Tyrion's face is very unique in that it's rectangular and also square. And I don't know, I probably should have went for the more angular look and just exaggerated his features a lot more. Then it probably would have looked more like Tyrion than it does now. Because I've been at this for like 2 days, 3 days in a row, and it's kind of like, I don't recommend spending this much time in the character creator. It's insane. Glossy lips make you look more kissable. Kili is probably the closest I got. It's not the best, for sure. The dwarf head shapes are totally different from the human Cornari and the elven ones. Those are more close to each other than the dwarves are. That affected everything, unfortunately. Yeah. I am not going back to fix this, to be honest. I don't really want to. I spent 2 hours on his head, 2 hours on Tyrion's head, 2 hours on Thorin's head. Yeah. Just not looking forward to that again. Just to go back and fix it, just not worth it. But overall, I think his face looks fine. It could have looked a lot worse. It's okay. I think the nose sliders here are better than Inquisition, without a doubt, because you can control a lot more parts of the nose. I think the choice of nose shapes could be better, but I think what we have is not bad, actually. You just gotta be a bit more creative, I guess. And also, I think the head shapes does affect the nose shape a bit. I'm not quite sure. I never really noticed it much. It's not one of the things that I noticed. At least, I don't think the lips was affected that much either. Just the position on the face. And that was pretty much it. This is actually, Thorin. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like Thorin. I'm so sorry to Richard Armitage. I butchered his dwarven face here. And on top of that, there wasn't the right beard for him either. So this is kind of pretty much whatever looked closest to what he had. I mean, you could pick a different beard. This is, I think this one is not that nice looking. At least for me. I mean, it's okay. I'm kinda disappointed because it doesn't look like Richard Armitage at all. I blame the head shapes of the dwarves. They're, they're very unique in Dragon Age the Veilguard, so if you are trying to morph a human head, a human face, using the dwarf head shapes, you're gonna run into a lot of trouble like I did, and it's gonna cause you a lot of pain. A lot of pain. So my recommendation is to exaggerate their facial features a lot more. That's my recommendation. Exaggerate their facial features, especially if you're choosing to mess around with a dwarf head and you're playing a dwarf. Exaggerate their facial features a lot more because the beard will cover up everything else. If you're choosing a beard that's really big, you're gonna wanna exaggerate the facial features up here so that it looks a lot more personable. You want the facial features to be really as memorable as possible, especially when you're emoting in the cutscenes. I'm sorry, here's incoming another cursed character. This was a friend's suggestion. But I actually felt like I got his head shape right the first try. But that's just my opinion, really. Tim Curry has very limited references online. And so basically what I had to do was do a lot of guesswork because the references that I'm working with have him really caked. When I say caked, I mean he's caked in a lot of makeup. What that means is that his facial features, the contours of his face and all that are heavily exaggerated by the makeup. So a lot of it is just guesswork to, sort of figure out how his face really works, how his face really is, how much is this, how much is that. So quite a lot of guesswork involved. But overall, I'm not too disappointed with how this turned out. It was actually kind of fun to work on his face because, it was a unique challenge. It's kind of like a twin canary. I'm sorry. A twin canary, yeah, kinda. But I think he turned out not too bad and not as cursed as Maggie Smith. But I think Maggie is fine. Ish. I don't know if you take the sliders from the Kunari and import it into human race sliders, whether it kind of works or not. You could try and let me know in the comments. I would like to know because I don't actually ever want to touch the character creator again for the next couple of months. I'm kind of done. Yeah, I spend a lot more time working on his makeup because because the reference I was using, he had a lot of makeup on. So I kind of like, you know what? He's already wearing makeup. Might as well. Because the only reference that, when you think of Tim Curry, you think of, that the transvestite thing. And yeah, it kind of works here. Well, you could always try and make a human Tim Curry. Let me know how that goes. I'm just kind of tired at this point. It was a crazy undertaking, but I wanted to try a bunch of faces. And I decided to try a bunch of faces that would be totally different from each other. And here's the last character. I'm sorry if some of you disagree on whether he looks like Terry Crews or not, but I think it's pretty close. My friend said the only important thing I had to do was to try and get it to look like Terry Crews' long stare. And I was like, I think I got pretty close. If I exaggerated his features a little more, it probably would have looked way better. I think the Veilguard actually benefits a lot more if you have characters that have really exaggerated facial features. I'm not saying that those without exaggerated facial features will look bad, it's just that you'll benefit a lot more if with the exaggerated facial features. And because Terry Crews is a bodybuilder, so, you know, big body, chunky, and tall. Yep, no makeup for Terry Crews. Not even lipstick. Doesn't actually need it, in my opinion. And that brings us to the end of the character creator. Yay! I am never gonna touch this again. Like, forever. Like, you can only have a maximum of 10 characters in the first place. So, really, just pick your favorite. Pick one, pick 2, 3 favorites and just stick with them. The sad part is that no matter what you import, your Inquisitor is never gonna have, you know, their features imported. So every time you start a new playthrough, you have to redo your Inquisitor again from scratch. And little me did not know that, and I didn't save the sliders for my Inquisitor, so I literally have to make her again from scratch, like for my second playthrough. So BioWare, please, if you could, you know, allow us to import Rook this way, couldn't you just, like, you know, make it such that we could import the Inquisitor too? It's kind of a pain to always have to redo her for every playthrough, and that kind of sucks for me. It would be great if you could patch that in. I'm asking nicely, pretty please, because I have already spent hours on Rook. I really don't want to spend another couple of hours on my Inquisitors. So that would be a great quality of life update. Also, despite showing all the sliders in the video, if you guys just want to shortcut this thing, I have a gift for you as a thank you for sticking with me throughout the entirety of the video. You can find a link in the description below to a Google Drive where you can download all the save files for these characters, and you can use them as presets for your own Rook in your new playthrough, be it your first playthrough, your second playthrough, or your nth playthrough. So all you have to do is just download the one that you want. Just a reminder, there is a maximum of a 10 character limit, so you basically can only have a maximum of 10 Rooks. So make sure you only download the ones that you want and use maybe the favorite 2 or 3 and work from there. I don't recommend downloading all 12 unless you want to try every single one of them. But that means you need to make space by deleting a previous save file. I know this works because I've been deleting and adding the save files to for my own game. How else did I make 12 Rooks? I don't have the space for 12. So yeah, I hope you like the gift. Enjoy the Rooks. If you guys enjoyed my Rook Showcase, I hope you like the video and subscribe. This is Hignum signing out. I'll catch you guys in the next one.